Hello Africa, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great, mama. Sweet, sweet Africa, I say how you day, oh. I hope you're feeling great, mama. I never see you Africa, but I feel you Africa. My vein is full of your blood. My heart is full of your love. You're my number one, the one I'm crazy for.
Hello there, I am Harry Agena with the Afroscope project. Coming your way again with another edition of our Afrocultural Titbits. And this is where we give you some information, some tidbits of the traditions and customs and other elements that make up the African culture. And of course, we're talking about various tribes in Africa and also the diaspora Africa. In other words, we are not limited to just African continent itself. We are also talking about other communities that are outside Africa, but they are African. So, in the past, we've brought you several tribes or several kingdoms on the African continent. The last one we had was the Zulu kingdom, the Zulu tribe, the Zulu culture in South Africa. This time around, we are going to the Central African region, and we are talking about Rwanda in Central Africa. One of the things we are going to do that is a little bit different from what we have done so far on this series, this Afrocultural Titbits series, is that rather than concentrate on the cultural traditions and customs and other elements of the tribe, we are going more into the socio-political makeup of Rwanda. There's a good reason for this, and some of you, or most people, do know what happened in Rwanda not too long ago, the Rwandan genocide and all that. So we are more interested this time on the makeup of Rwanda, which is tribal, by the way, because Rwanda, of course, it's all composed of various African tribes. So that's what we're going to do this time. Of course, in the next edition, we're going to have a part 2 of this. That's where we now concentrate on our usual Afrocultural tidbits. Okay? So, without much ado, let's get straight into the program, bringing you Rwanda in Central Africa. Here we go. This time around on this series, we are combining two tribes in Rwanda, the Hutu and the Tutsi tribes, in a complex relationship that spans centuries. Okay, now, before I continue, let's introduce to you my colleague, Simon Bami, who worked with me in the research and writing of this program. Here you go.
Hello, viewers and fans all over the world. I hope you guys are doing good, and I trust without any iota of doubt that you will enjoy Afroscope Afrocultural Tidbits on the Hutu people of Rwanda. My name is Simon Bami. Please always like, share, comment and follow our page. We promise you guys will always be giving you hot gist as far as Africa is concerned. We no go fall on our hand. Enjoy this wonderful work from Afroscope.com. Remain blessed.
I'm going to start with the information that Africa, the African continent, is comprised of 5 regions, namely North Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa, West Africa, and Central Africa. Our focus here is Central Africa, which is made up of 9 or 11 countries, depending on who you ask and when you ask them. This is to say that whereas some schools of thought include Rwanda and Burundi in the Central African region, others insist that those two are more within East Africa than Central Africa. However, Rwanda is commonly said to be in Central Africa, and that's the school of thought that we are subscribing to in this presentation. Rwanda is bordered to the north by the country Uganda, to the east by Tanzania, to the south by Burundi, and to the west by the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Hutu and the Tutsi tribes were part of the early Bantu migrations into the Great Lakes region of Central Africa. The first wave of Bantu migration started about 1,000 years before Christ, and the complex Bantu amalgamation is comprised of about 400 native African ethnic groups or tribes. Their common uniting denominator was, and still is, the Bantu language. I did say that we are deviating from our hitherto mainstay of African cultural traditions of the Afrocultural Titbits series to focus this time on the tribalistic political structure in Rwanda. However, we can still mention that the various Bantu tribes in Rwanda established themselves as farmers and animal herders, living in small, decentralized and autonomous communities before and during their European colonization, up to the present day of independence from their colonial masters. Predominant as well as dominant among the 400 Bantu tribes who migrated into the Great Lakes region of Central Africa are the Hutu and the Tutsi tribes. The Kingdom of Rwanda was established in the 15th century with the Tutsi monarchy dominating the region. Mind you, the Hutu people were the majority in number, with about 85% of the population of the country. However, they were subjects of the Tutsi kings, who imposed a feudal system known as Ubuhake. Feudalism is a socio-economic system where one group are the lords and the other group are the vassals or the subordinates. The lords grant land or economic materials to the vassals in exchange for allegiance, loyalty, military service or protection, and sometimes other forms of support. In the Rwandan feudal system, the Hutu people were the vassals or clients who received cattle from Tutsi patrons in exchange for labor and loyalty.
I never see you, Africa, but I feel you, Africa. My vein is full of your blood.
Now, let's take a look at the colonial era in Rwanda and the terrible, I repeat, terrible tribal divide and rule tactic that the colonial masters, European colonial masters, introduced in the country for their own self-serving benefits. There is no question that German and Belgian colonizers exploited the existing tribal divisions between the Hutu and Tutsi tribes in Rwanda. They introduced identity cards that classified individuals as Hutu, Tutsi, and the other tribes, solidifying ethnic divisions that favored the Tutsi minority. I compare this fact to the self-serving act of Britain during her 1914 amalgamation of their colonial northern and southern protectorates in West Africa to concoct the country now known as Nigeria. In their self-serving economic moves, British colonialists forced together two ethno-religiously incompatible regions into one Nigerian country. Part of the result is the tribal and religious conflicts that have continued to ravage Nigeria to the present day. Anyway, for now, let's leave out the matter of the British colonial self-serving divide and rule, ethno-religious and regional divide and rule tactic, which they introduced in Nigeria during their days. And that created a lot of tension between the religions, the tribes, and the regions of Nigeria. And those tensions have continued up till today. So yes sir, yes ma'am, Britain did do a lot of damage to the unity of Nigeria. But that's a story for another day.
Willa, willa, Africa. Willa, willa, Africa. Willa, willa, Africa. Willa, willa, Africa.
The inevitable finally happened in Rwanda from 1959 to 1961, when the Hutu tribe, with their overwhelming population, revolted against the Tutsi monarchy. Yes sir, yes ma'am, they did. Rwanda was still under the colonial rule of Belgium during the revolution. That period saw widespread violence against the Tutsi tribe, resulting in the overthrow of the Tutsi monarchy and the establishment of a Hutu-dominated provisional republic under Belgian colony. The Hutu provisional government struggled for freedom of Rwanda from colonialism. And yes, it did happen on July 1, 1962, when Rwanda gained her independence from Belgium. The entire world is aware of the Rwandan Revolution. However, not many are aware of the causes of the revolution. For instance, many do not know the role of European colonizers of Rwanda in creating hatred and tension between the various Rwandan tribes. I call it evil, self-serving tribal divide and rule by the European colonizers of Rwanda. On April 6, 1994, President Juvenal Habyarimana from the Hutu tribe was assassinated. Extremist Hutu group known as Interahamwe blamed the Tutsi-led Rwandan Patriotic Front, or RPF, for the assassination. Mind you, there was no evidence to support the allegation against RPF, yet the suspicion sparked a genocide which targeted and killed an estimated 800,000 Tutsis and some moderate Hutus who were against the ideology of the extremist Hutus. And of course, some members of the other minority tribes, such as the Twa tribe, were also killed. The genocide lasted approximately 100 days, from April 7 to July 19, 1994. It was led by Theoneste Bagosora. Sexual violence against women and the consequent rise in HIV disease were among the traumatic impacts of the revolution. You know, as they say, the darkest period of the night comes before sunrise.
Beautiful continent, beautiful people, Africa gets everything.
The genocide of 1994 in Rwanda is what I called the darkest period of the night, which eventually brought about the sunlight that I also spoke about. And that sunlight is the reform against tribalism in Rwanda, which has brought peace and unity among Rwandans. The reform in tribalism in Rwanda which the Afroscope project is very proud of, gradually started after the 1994 genocide. Rwanda started significant changes for tribal reconciliation, unity, and peace in the country. The government started to implement policies aimed at reducing ethnic tension and promoting a unified national identity. The unification policies gradually developed into a law that was enacted in 2001 to promote what is called One Rwanda Law, number 47/2001, against sectarianism. The law has abolished tribal identification card system that had been introduced by European colonizers, which created tribal division and tension among Rwandans. From 2001, it became a crime to identify any Rwandan citizen according to their tribes. Everybody is now just a Rwandan, period. This legislation prohibits, and I quote, acts of discrimination and sectarianism. It forbids tribal hate speeches, written statements, or actions that divide people or spark conflicts based on discrimination. We all know that whatever you do in this world, people must talk. No matter how great the idea is, there will still be people who speak against and for that idea. That's a human fact. There are concerns among some critics in Rwanda that while the intention of the tribal bigotry law is great to prevent future intertribal atrocities, its implementation tends to restrict freedom of expression. It is also feared that the law will end up erasing the history of tribal identities in the country. And saying, I do wonder, how can saying that you should not call any Rwandan by his or her tribe anymore, you should not identify a Rwandan by his or her tribe anymore because it creates tension. I wonder how that could be so bad. I do wonder because, and remember, mind you, there is nothing that happens in this world that is perfect. Whatever you do, there must be the downsides of it. For instance, a simple, silly, maybe call it silly example. We all know that cars, the vehicles that we travel with, or airplanes, they crash and people die, right? Now, can you imagine anybody, because of that reason, that people die in accidents with vehicles, transportation vehicles? We must ban airplanes and cars. Does it make sense in 21st century world? Of course not. My point is therefore, what must happen is that there must be moderation. There must be moderation in everything. Yes, there may be some downsides to the Rwandan law against tribalism. But whatever that is, whatever those downsides are, they can never, to me personally, I don't know about you, tell me if you disagree with me. To me personally, no matter what the downsides may be, those downsides can never be worse than the tensions, the tribal tensions, the ethno-religious tensions that are created by people, by tribal bigotry. I don't think there's any downside to the law that can possibly overshadow the negative parts of ethno-religious tensions in any country. That's what I believe. And that's what I think everybody who is considerate should believe. I think so. What we must do is, let's make sure that those laws are implemented without corruption. Yeah, that's the word, corruption. Because in Nigeria, for instance, it's corruption that is the problem. That's why some people can spew hate speeches against some tribes and nothing happens. That's corruption. If the laws of the land are implemented by the law enforcement agencies in Rwanda, then I don't think there is any downside in the so-called hushing public rights to express themselves. What is somebody expressing him or herself for? You want to express that Hutu people are terrible? Is that what we're talking about? Expression of the right to express oneself?
Make we come together and build Africa. Hey, Mama Africa, I sing for you.
In conclusion, I maintain that there is no valid argument against the wonderful law in Rwanda which prohibits tribal bigotry. No sir, no ma'am. All that the critics need to do is ensure that the government does not allow corruption, the kind of corruption that happens in Nigeria that destroys every good thing. Everything that could be good in Nigeria is destroyed by corruption. Make sure that that doesn't happen in Rwanda, and everything will be fine. The law is a wonderful one. The law will make Rwanda a progressive country, more than the so-called giant of Africa, Nigeria, where corruption kills everything. And do remember that I promised you part 2 to this presentation. That's when I will give you the usual Afrocultural tidbits, which will give you some tidbits on some traditions and customs of Rwandan Tutsi and Hutu tribes. And until then, I've got to say, this is where I stop for now. Bye for now, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.